It's mailbag time here on the Raiders Report, and I also want to say, seriously, to everybody that always tunes into the show, I am extremely thankful for all the nation, for everybody that always is a part of that Noti gang, for people that do all the crazy shit they do on this show on a daily, weekly basis. Bang, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. I mean it from the bottom of my heart. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you out there. And we got a lot of really good Thanksgiving Day games that I think that the Raiders fans need to be watching. The first game that we got is Chicago at Detroit. This game doesn't really impact the silver and black at all, but hey, I want to be able to watch a good quarterback up against a good team in Jared Goff. What about this game? This is the most important game. If you haven't already watched my video on my Raiders tank rooting guide, the New York Giants taking care of business against the Dallas Cowboys is the most important game this week for the Las Vegas Raiders. If the Raiders lose and the Giants win, number one pick, baby. And then the final game of the night, watch Josh Jacobs, watch Miami, but I'll tell you this, you should actually be rooting for the Green Bay Packers in this game, and I say that because of the strength of schedule where that could come down to tiebreakers for the draft when it's all said and done, and because Green Bay is not on our schedule, and Miami was, you should root for the Green Bay Packers. Before we get into some of these questions and comments that are thrown in here on today's show, we are presented by Panda Supps, and this is the best deal that he is going to offer all year long. Code Black Friday. You're going to be able to get 30% off, and if you spend more than $50, he's going to throw in some free gifts. The link is pandasups.com, and it's going to be available down in the comments and in the description of today's show. Let's go to Carlo. First one coming in. Who is your top 10 offensive line free agents that the Raiders need to draft? I'll tell you this right now. There are so many interesting things with this question, and I say that because, one, obviously you're not going to be able to draft any of the offensive linemen that are free agents, so I think you're getting it confused a little bit. The top free agents, though, in 2025, according to Spotrac, Zach Martin, Cam Robinson, Garrett Bowles, some names like Ryan Kelly, Joseph Noteboom, James Daniels, Austin Corbett, Ronnie Stanley, Tyron Smith. There's some just offensive lineman prospects out there. This is also just going on based on overall value. Here's the thing. The Raiders, they got to figure out first what they're going to do with Colton Miller, whether or not they're going to give him a contract. Then you got to figure out at left guard because I do think that center with JPJ, right guard Dylan Parham, right tackle DJ Glaze is probably going to be set in stone for next season. Let's go to Mateus. What up, Mateus? Do you think we could sign T. Higgins next year and maybe we could target like a Jaylen Warren? Warren, I don't really see happening. I think the Raiders are going to try to figure out whether or not they want to bring back Zamir White. And then maybe you bring back Alexander Madison. I would target a running back in the draft. I've said this maybe 5 or 10 times on this show. The number one receiver, big name receiver, the Raiders are most likely that they're going to go out and get next offseason. It's going to be T. Higgins. I've been saying that for weeks. I've been saying it for months because I know for a fact Antonio Pierce, one of his favorite receivers, is T. Higgins, the way he plays, the mentality. You pair that with Jacoby Myers, two physical dudes. Probably going to have to give him $25 million per year, but this could be an option for the Raiders if they don't like some of the receivers in the draft. Let's go to my man, Monty. What up, Monty? The draft is in April. If the Raiders sign a QB this offseason in free agency, who do you think it will be? So you're basically saying, like, free agency is in March, the draft's in April, you can't wait until the draft because then you're going to be screwed, kind of like what happened to the Raiders. I think that there is a few different names, and I've made a video on this before, but I kind of like what Cullen's thinking here. How about this? I'll give you my answer after this YouTube ad break. So this is going to be the pinned comment. If the Raiders sign a quarterback in free agency, who do you think it's going to be? You're about to get hit with a YouTube ad break. While that ad is playing, I want you to scroll on down and give me your answer. My answer coming up right now. The quarterback that I think that the Raiders would go out and target is Justin Fields, and the only reason why that I say that is because he has been able to prove that he can be a reliable backup in case the Raiders go out and get their ultimate guy in a Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. I think Justin Fields also has a great relationship with Champ Kelly. The Raiders tried to go out and get Justin Fields last offseason. Fields didn't want to play with Luke Getsy. So I think when you consider how cheap it would be, could be a one-year rental and could be a good backup, Justin Fields is a name to keep in mind. The other name that I'll throw out there, though, is Kirk Cousins because I think that his time in Atlanta after this season will end up being done. If you want Raiders content all day, every day, hit that subscribe button. Turn on those notifications. That way you never miss a thing. We got something around here at the Raiders Report called the Noti Gang. These are people that are subscribed and try to comment first on a video as soon as it drops. I appreciate this, and it helps me continue to grow this show. So to Anthony, YouTube at work, Edie Amazing, and Isaac Hernandez, thank you for being a part of the Noti Gang. If you want to see your name, shout out to Kirby as well, featured on this show, hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications, and try to be the first to comment on the videos that I drop. What's up, Rebel? I know they want Shedeur to sit out a year. We could get Aaron Rodgers from the Jets. Marianne said you're welcome from the Titans winning. Sit chugs. That's actually hilarious. Shout out to Marianne. I don't want Aaron Rodgers on this team. He's going to be 42 years old, and I think what you're seeing right now is Rodgers is a little bit of a cancer. Like, he's saying that he didn't say certain things, but Diana Rossini's not the type of person to just report BS, and I don't believe anything that comes out of Aaron Rodgers' mouth. On top of that, though, is Aaron Rodgers still that good? Like, is Aaron Rodgers a top 16 quarterback in the NFL right now? Is Aaron Rodgers better than Kirk Cousins? I don't know if he is. Is Aaron Rodgers better than Justin Fields? You know, like, I don't know. What I do know is I'm not going to pay Aaron Rodgers $30 million per year to be a headache on this team, because if you want to talk about drama, there ain't nobody that's going to bring drama the way that Aaron Rodgers is going to bring drama. And you're trying to build a team. Rodgers is a me guy. I don't want Aaron Rodgers, and I'm not afraid to say it. I don't want Aaron Rodgers. If the Raiders were a team that was a quarterback away, and we're like, let's say right now, instead of being 2-9, we're, I don't know, right around 500, and we're just in the thick of it, and our defense is really good, and we add a QB, like, I don't think Rodgers is the guy that we want. So for that reason, no, I'm good on Rodgers. Let's go to Ray. Mitch, hot take. I really like Cam Ward, and he has been my number one since last year draft in the first round. But, man, watching Shedeur this year, I like this kid. He's tough as hell. I think Shedeur is a hell of a QB. But Cam Ward has been my number one guy. And, you know, I feel like it's funny a lot of times. People are like, man, Mitch, what happened? I thought you loved Cam Ward. You're talking a lot about Shedeur. I'm talking a lot about Shedeur because there's a lot of smoke around Shedeur, and there's really nothing around Cam and the Raiders. But I think anybody that's followed me for a long time knows that I said that Cam Ward, I put a Heisman bet on Cam Ward back in March last offseason. I said that Cam Ward's going to be the Jaden Daniels, the guy that's going to go to a brand new school, and he's going to end up winning the Heisman. I think I might actually be right on that one. I have been a Cam Ward fan through and through, and if you ask me, the number one pick, would I rather Cam Ward or Shedeur? If I'm trying to win, it's Cam Ward. If I'm trying to sell tickets, put butts in seats, it's Shedeur Sanders. Now, we got more questions coming up here in just a moment, but before we get into those, huge shout out to our sponsor here, Panda Subs, code Black Friday, 30% off and $50, or no, when you spend $50, you get free gifts, but they did just launch a brand new protein, and I can't wait to get my hands on this one. It is a blueberry muffin with actual freeze-dried blueberries in the protein. 30 grams of protein if you're somebody that's trying to eat a little bit healthier. And I know, this week, I'll be real, I'm probably not going to eat very healthy this week. It's Thanksgiving. But you know what? The day after Thanksgiving, the week after Thanksgiving, I try to slim up a little bit, and I got a huge sweet tooth. And if you're somebody like me, you got a craving at night, there's not a better protein brand out there than Panda, especially for a late-night snack. If you're somebody that likes to snack seasonally, the top proteins that I would recommend, you can kind of see all the ones that they have right now. But if you're a seasonal guy, Cinnamon Toast Cereal, very good. You can mix vanilla with almost just about anything. The Campfire S'mores is delicious. I'll tell you this, though, if you like chocolate, the chocolate ice cream one is probably one of the best just plain chocolate proteins that I've ever had. And because this is the best deal that he's going to offer all year, I want you to take advantage of it. It is Black Friday right around the corner, and this deal is only going to be valid until Black Friday. So use code Black Friday. If you end up spending more than $50, you can see you get a bag, a shaker. I want to say that is a, whatchamacallit? It's a seasoning, so it's like you can put them on food. And there's also a funnel, so that way when you're making your protein shake, you don't make a huge mess. Panda Subs is owned and operated by a diehard Raiders fan. So guess what? If you love the Raiders, if you want to support your own, Panda Subs, code Black Friday, try the protein. I promise you, you're not going to regret it. Let's go to my man, Mando. What do we do if Ward and Sanders are both gone? We win 2 more games. What's the plan then if we miss out on the top 2 quarterbacks? I think your plan then is trying to go out and get a Justin Fields. Maybe you look at a QB like a Kirk Cousins. Maybe you look at another dude in the draft, maybe like a Jalen Milroe. Like another option that I've thrown out, this idea is Milroe's going to need a year or two to marinate, right, to become ready to play right away. So what if you go out, you get a Justin Fields, you let Milroe sit behind Fields, you install an offense that's very similar for both of those players. Like that's something that I would potentially be open to. But even if you win 2 more games, if you're the Raiders and you're picking, and like if you're 12, 11, 10. I'm trading 3 first-round picks, and I'm going to go get Cam Ward. I'm trading the house to go get somebody like Shedeur Sanders. You can't sit around anymore and just be okay going with mediocre quarterbacks. Can't happen. We haven't had an above-average QB since Derek Carr in 2016. Let's go to Raiders for life. Could the Raiders hire Ben Johnson next season? No. I have said Ben Johnson is the top head coach candidate out there, and he is the top head coach candidate out there. But there is a 0% chance that the Raiders hire Ben Johnson, and I've talked about this one a few times as well. The reason why there is a 0% chance, I'm telling you right now, 0% chance that Ben Johnson is the Raiders head coach. And the biggest reason is the Raiders want to give Tom Brady the ability to take a quarterback. Ben Johnson wants full control. That's not an option when Tom Brady's the owner. It's one of the reasons why Mark Davis brought Brady in. So because of that, Ben Johnson, 0% chance to be the Raiders head coach next season. Let's go to Nick Sanchez. Hey, Mitch, wouldn't Daniel Jones be valued simply because he's a super cheap backup quarterback? The way that I have explained this is even if Daniel Jones was the vet minimum, $1.2 million, I would rather you save that $1.2 million for next season in a season that matters. Like, if you got a 200,000-mile car, I'm not trying to put a new engine in that 200,000-mile car to get me to 210,000 miles. I'm just trying to ride this season out for the final 6 weeks and let that car shit out, and then guess what? I'm going to go get a brand new car next season. And if I got to save $1.2 million in order to do that for next season, let that money roll over, that's what I'm going to do. Jamarcus Russell, I don't know why you're watching. If Shedeur and Cam are gone, who are you hoping the Raiders draft, and then what? Oh, dude. If those two guys are done, my next favorite is Jalen Milroe. And then after that, it gets really ugly. I don't think Carson Beck's around 1 QB. I don't think Quinn Ewers is around 1 QB. Hell, I think that you could see Beck and Quinn Ewers go back to college. Like, as bad as they've played recently, I wouldn't be surprised if they went back to college. And then outside of those dudes, like, I know some people are really excited about Jackson Dart. Doesn't inspire me a lot. Like, there's Nussmeier from LSU. I get his dad as a QB guy. Doesn't really help me out. Doesn't really inspire me. I would say Jalen Milroe, but even Jalen Milroe is a QB that I don't know if I'm going to take in the top 10. Like, I would rather the Raiders go out and draft somebody high in round 1, and then they try to trade back up in round 1 to go get Milroe, or you try to get him in round 2, because I think there's a chance Milroe could fall to round 2. There's a lot of scouts out there that are concerned by his ability to be a thrower. We know he's a great athlete, but you got to be able to throw the football in order to get it done in the NFL. I think Anthony Richardson is a great example of that, though Milroe is a significantly better passer than what Anthony Richardson is. I like this one here. All right. Besides Shedeur and Cam Ward, who would you want the Raiders to draft at quarterback? I just gave you my answers. Now, if you guys could, please go down and give me yours, because my answer, it's going to continuously say Jalen Milroe. Outside of that, though, I don't know. Outside of that. Keep them coming here. Hashtag Raiders or Super Chat to get those questions, comments on the show. If you're like, Mitch, how do I get my questions on here? You got to tune in when we go live. We usually do our mailbags on Thursdays, but because Thursday is Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving again, we decided to do it on Tuesday today. Dylan, wouldn't it make sense to sign a free agent quarterback who resembles Sanders to get the offense in place next season? It's not that I disagree with that, but if you're looking for a quarterback that resembles Sanders, and if you wanted to do it at like a cheap price, you might be able to say Aiden's in a similar offense, because Shedeur's like not a scrambling quarterback. He's a good athlete, but he's not somebody who's like looking to run. And I think people only say that he's a athletic quarterback because he's black, and that's just me being real with y'all, right? Like, that's like saying any white receiver is just a gym rat. They're not all gym rats. Some guys are just really good athletes and they're white. Just like saying not all black quarterbacks are just great athletes. Shedeur's a good athlete, but he's not a runner like Milroe. He's not somebody that's going to use his legs to create. I would say the other option that you could look at, and this is the more expensive option, is Kirk Cousins. You bring in Kirk Cousins, you let him teach a young guy like Sanders, because Cousins has actually been very open to this in the past, and he's been very good at it. I don't know if he loved the idea because of Penix this past season, but if you're trying to win legitimately, I would say, and if Shedeur wants to sit a year, because there's a chance he might sit a year, even if he's drafted number 1. I know it's not what you want to hear, but there is a chance. That's something that Dion has talked about. Because of that, maybe Kirk Cousins, you bring him in on a 1-year rental. Thugador, 2 questions. Would you ever blame Crosby for leaving? And if you could choose to retire a jersey number of the Raiders, what would it be? Oh, man. I feel like that's a question better for the nation, because I feel like if I'm going to retire any jersey number right now, I almost feel like the number that I would retire is 24. Is there another number out there that you guys would potentially retire? Please let me know. But would I blame Crosby for leaving? Yes and no. I would blame Crosby for leaving because Max has told me he's never going to leave. And whether you guys think Max is my friend or not, I am somebody that stands on 10 toes. Like, even if some of you think that we're friends or not, if you looked at me and you told me something like you're never going to do it, then I would hold you to that word. If Max next year goes, hey, man, I would consider it, then my opinion would change on it. But I also know this. Yes, Max wants to win a Super Bowl. Yes, Max wants to do a lot of these things. But if I told you that you can make more money after football than what you would make during football, and all you have to do is stay a Raider your entire career, what would you do? I think Max knows that, understands that, and wants to set himself up and his family's up for generations to come. Because there's not too many opportunities where players get the opportunity to be a part-time owner. And I'm telling you, Max Crosby, if he stays a Raider, mark my words, from Mark, my words, he's going to be a part owner of the Raiders. So that's why I don't think he's going anywhere. Before I get out of here, reminder, we're going to be live Friday, Black Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm going to be live here on this show. The game gets kicked off at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. But we're going to party. We're going to tailgate an hour beforehand. I know the Raiders are underdogs. I don't expect the Raiders to win. And quite frankly, I'm not going to root for the Raiders to win. I'm Team Tank. I want a better pick. And because of that, let's go Team Tank.